what's your name and where you've travelled from to be here?
Okay, do you want my full name or
Go
just my...
for it.
I'm just going to go by my first name. My name's Jacqueline. You can call me Jax, and I've travelled from New York to be here.
Fantastic. Jax, thanks so much for giving us some of your time and your lunch break here today. Jax, what would you say was the biggest struggle or challenge you were facing in your life prior to joining us at WCA?
Oh, goodness. There have been so many. Oh, God, you've really thrown the big question at me with that one. I would say the biggest struggle is maintaining momentum, you know, for anything. So I've gone through a lot of ups and downs, you know, kind of like career-wise, you know, health-wise, etc., and had to overcome quite a few challenges, and still working through challenges. But I think that changing habits, like a lifetime of habits, and maintaining the momentum and not kind of like getting pulled back into what's super comfortable for me to do, even if it's not that great for me. I think that's been the biggest struggle, regardless of what part of my life it touches, yeah.
And having come here to WCA over these past 5 days, what's been the biggest breakthrough that you've personally experienced having been here?
There's been so many. Well, one, I'm going to laugh at this one. One is just since coming out of COVID, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm used to kind of keeping relationships, you know, a little bit kind of like back there on the, I love people, but in terms of like letting people in, I'm not so great at doing that. So all the hugging and people in my personal space, you know, has been, and it's not that I don't hug people, but the hugs here are kind of long, you know. Right? And people are super friendly. So on day one for me, walking into the space, looking at people like dancing around and stuff, and I'm kind of like, like this. I'm like, what's going, like, what's going on? Like, right? So I'm like, I don't know. It's just kind of, I'm seeing these people kind of bouncing around and stuff, and they're trying to get me to do it. And I'm not feeling it, you know? And I'm just like, I really don't want to do all of that right now. I'm not ready for it. So that was challenging, I think. So the connection and letting people in, the level of, I'm not going to say vulnerability period, but it's a level of vulnerability has been, I think, a bit of a challenge as well. And I would say the breakthroughs, my biggest breakthroughs, I think, have happened after each session. So when I go back and kind of like think things through, you know, and question some things, I think that's when the download happens for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you say shocked you or surprised you the most about this WCA experience?
Ooh. I would say a couple of things. So getting back to what I call the childlike state again. So being able to just kind of like do whatever and just not care. That has shocked me a little bit. That I've gone there. You know. So that's number one. Something else that has been surprising to me is the depth of the information. So it's just like it just keeps hitting, you know. So it's like one thing, it's like, ooh, that was a bit close to home, you know. And it's just like, and then something else comes. It's like, ooh, that's a little bit, yeah. So it's been a lot of that where things are just landing, and when it lands it can land really hard, you know. So I think with that and being able to process that, but also experiencing other people going through it as well, I think is really nice. And everyone's honesty about who they are and what they're going through has been incredible. Beautiful. For me.
Following on from that, from what you said a moment ago about letting people in and the depth and the vulnerability, how important have these people been on your experience in this journey that you've gone through here at WCA?
I would say very important, because there's a lot of things, you know, when you come here, whatever challenges you're having, I think everyone's walking in with a bit of a mask, right? And not really wanting to reveal who they really are, because you don't know if it's safe or not for you to be yourself and to show up at that level of authenticity. I think that can be quite hard. And so knowing that, I've had some really great talks with people where I'm just like, oh, I'm not the only one who's got that happening in my life. Or where I thought I was, you know, I had weird relationships, you know, and dynamics happening. I'm not the only one who's going through that. It's actually quite common. And I think I wrote at one point that what's normal is the dysfunction, right? The level of dysfunction that people are walking around in and pretending that that's normal. That's norm. That's the norm. What's abnormal is being completely yourself, and feeling comfortable in your own skin, who you are, and having that level of motivation and clarity. I think that's abnormal. And so it was nice to have that reversed in my head. Yeah.
With returning back to New York now after this experience, what's one thing, I know there's many, but what's one thing that's definitely going to change? What's going to be different for you now, Jacqueline, having
I think that probably the main thing has to do with relationships. So first of all, the relationship with myself. It's like, hello, me, right? So it's good to kind of like get in touch with myself again, and also relationships with other people, like the depth of the relationships, and also look forward to maintaining the connections. I was going to say some of the connections, and I'm like, I'm checking out again, aren't I, with my son. Maintaining the connections that I made here, and just continue to build on that. I think that's really important to me.